Hey guys, it's TD here, and I wanted to come to you all real quick um, this afternoon with a little story time. I've been watching a young lady on YouTube. Her name is Allison Ayana. Just started watching her a couple of days ago, and this young lady. Wait a minute, let me turn on some air. It's hot. Give me just a second, y'all. Give me just a second, cause I am about to burn up. I turned it on fan when I left out this morning. I came over into the main part of the house, but it's hot now, and so I gotta get some air going. There, cool. Okay. So anyway, I was watching this young lady, and um, she was last month. So the video was a month old, and she was asking for donations. Her she was being evicted. So wherever she lives at, if you can come up with the money before the sheriff gets there, they don't put you out. You're able to stay. And so she was able to stay. But it just like triggered me. I've been thinking about it since I watched it. I was a single parent. And so I know exactly. I'm sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. Tennessee allergies. But anyway, I know exactly how difficult being a single parent can be. And so she was saying people were asking her, I guess they were just talking ugly to her. And my thing is, she was asking, if people could help. But if you couldn't help, she was still being respectful. She wasn't being ugly. So what I can understand is, I didn't go in and look at her comments because I normally watch YouTube on my TV. But I didn't understand why people were treating her that way. Why are you upset about what she's going through? What do it have to do with you? If you didn't like it, if it triggered you, if you felt like she was begging, whatever you felt, turn it on something else. There's so much to watch on YouTube. Turn it on something else. But instead, from what she was saying in the next video that I watched, that people were talking just nasty to her. But I remember, and I think she has 5 kids. I have 4. Excuse me. And I remember when I was first, when I had my daughter, just like she did, I was 16, and my daughter, and I turned 17, 7 days after I had my daughter. But it was hard. It was hard. But luckily at that time, my boyfriend, who later became my first husband, excuse me, he worked. He was in school. He had a full scholarship. He had a full football scholarship. When I got pregnant with my daughter, he had to stop football and just work because he was not just for me, but he was helping his family as well. And that's how he ended up going into the military. But times were difficult. And then I had my son while I was over there in Germany. And then when we came back, well, I came back when I left him. That's the part I wasn't ready for, because when I came back, I got me a little, I think I stayed with my grandparents for maybe about 3 months. And then I got me a little project. And I never will forget the day I signed the paperwork. That man said, "You're going to be just like the other girls, and you're going to get in this project, hook up with some guy. He going to move in, and you're going to be here the rest of your life." And I was like, the devil's a lie. I'm not. I'm going to be out of here in 6 months, 2 kids and all. And I was 19, y'all, with 2. Was I 19 when I was 19 when I had my son. I was maybe around 20, 21 when I came. Yeah, I was about 21 when I came back to Nashville. And I worked because I didn't have a skill. So I worked at Kroger's bagging as a bagger. And I worked at Shawnee's. And back then, Black women couldn't be waitresses. So I had to work the little bar where you go and get your food, the salad bar. I worked the salad bar. And I had to get on the bus to go and take my kids to daycare, get on the bus to pick them back up, But in between, I was going to my jobs. And I never will forget my first husband. He was so petty, which we real cool now. But we were young and he was mad because I left. He was so petty that I worked a job. I've never not worked. I've been working since I was 15. I worked a job when we were in Germany, and half of my check went in account, half of his went in account. And then with the other stuff, he paid the bills. He paid all the bills. And but so when I got back, I still should have had a little cushion, maybe about $2,000 or $3,000, because I had been saving. But when I got back, he had took everything out of the account except for $30. $30. And when I tell y'all, I was so shocked. I was so shocked because he and I had been friends. We were neighbors. We grew up. He was my childhood sweetheart. We lived next door to each other. So we used to play in the dirt together. We were friends before we became anything else. And I just could not believe that he was so angry that he let us come home with nothing. But he did. He let us come home with nothing. And so then I ended up, because people were asking her, well, how do you get into this predicament? So that's what I'm going through, how a woman can get into this predicament, especially a young woman. So then I met my next husband. I was 22, 21, 22. I had to be 21. And I had my third child. And we were kicking and having a good time and stuff. But the problem with him was he worked, but he also was a dope dealer, And so it happens to what happens with dope dealers. Even though you work, came home from work one night. This guy came looking for him the day before. I told him about it. And nobody ever came to the house, ever. And he used to always say, if anybody asks him for me, if anybody comes to the house, tell them you don't know me, it's a setup. Because I'll never let anybody come to the house. And he never did. He never let anybody come to the house. So when that guy came to the house, I knew something wasn't right. He left back out. And then my deceased husband, he left back out. And then when he came back in, I was like, well, what's this about? And he didn't get me involved in what he had going on in the streets. I knew everything about his work life, but not his street life. And so the guy came back the next day and he killed him. And so my other two kids were over to my mom's house, but me and his baby were at home. So I had to call the police and step over his body. I was 22 years old, y'all, a widow at 22 years old. Step over his body, go to the hospital, call his family, because he was from New York. So he only had a cousin here that was in medical school. So I had to call him, call my family. It was a mess. That's the time of my life that was it was a mess. It was a mess. So I'm still building y'all up to how this young lady, because I don't know all of her situation, but you could get into a situation before you ever realize it. So then after I had my third son, I had my tubes. I didn't have them tied. Back then they would put clamps on them. And so they had put clamps on them. I started dealing with this other guy. At this time, I was 26. Now I'm just kicking it. I'm still not realizing that I need to deal with the PTSD that I had going on. But they didn't tell you about that. Nobody said you need to go to therapy. Now, I did have an aunt to say you might need to go to therapy, but she didn't push it, and nobody else said anything. Everybody else was like, just pray on it. You'll be all right. Just pray on it. And I just threw myself into work. And when the kids, the older ones, want to talk about it, I would never ever talk to them about it. I just was like, I don't want to relive it. And so anyway, so then I met this guy when I was 26, and I got pregnant. I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant, but the clamps that came loose, and so I ended up having my fourth son. I didn't want to be bothered with the other guy. He just was a good time guy, somebody to have fun with. I knew that I didn't want to make him my guy, And then I ended up marrying my my husband that I was married to for 30 years. But during that time, he was in and out, in and out, in and out of prison. So times was hard. It was hard. But I remember that when I had my fourth child with the guy that he was just a fun time guy, that my baby, I didn't have enough money, even though I worked two full-time jobs. I didn't, but I paid regular rent. I wasn't in the project, and I was out in 6 months. And I didn't make enough money. I was a CNT, a tech. And I think I made like maybe $7 an hour or something like that. And back then it might not have been that much. It might have been like $4. Anyway, it was a small amount of money. And so I was having to pay out of pocket for daycare, and I didn't have enough to pay for daycare because I wasn't getting any help. Because yeah, one husband I divorced, one is deceased. I didn't have the other husband yet. And I didn't have any help. And so what I would do is ration his diapers. If he had a boo-boo, I would change it right away. But I would let him pee at least 2 times before I changed the diaper for that. Way at daycare, as soon as they wet, they change it. So I didn't have any money to bring diapers. This good time guy came to the daycare, y'all, to see his kid, to see his son, and the daycare director, because he was real handsome, and the director, I never will forget, she was a white lady. Why did she tell him, instead of saying, can you get your son some diapers? And then she was like, this is about the second time that she's rationed these diapers. She hadn't really been bringing these diapers. How is it on me? And this is his father. And you don't even, ask his dad to bring him some diapers. And I say that to say this. When they were talking about this young lady on YouTube, when they were talking to her about something that she shared with us that she didn't even have to share. How dare they say, how did you get in this? You can get into this situation. If you've never got in that situation, kudos. I applaud you. I promise you I applaud you. But you can get into that situation. It's easy to happen. And it's not that she was being irresponsible. As you all could see, I was having husbands, except for the good time guy. And even then, my tubes was tied. I just didn't believe in abortion for me. But I think a woman has to make her own decisions. But even then, when I think about it, those kids really had to struggle with me. And especially my my older ones, they had to grow up with a mom that was a kid herself. You see what I'm saying? So don't be so quick to judge somebody. If you never had to go through that situation and your life has always been great, that's good. Be grateful. Really, be grateful. But for those of us, because this is something we got to talk about, let's talk about it, y'all. We got to talk about it. Because for those of us that have lived maybe an up and down life, an up and down, you've got to know that we're doing the best that we can. We're doing the best that we have. You know what I mean? Since all of that, of course, I've been to college. I will put myself through college. I got my own stuff, but it wasn't always easy. People look and might think, oh, she make that look so easy. No, boo-boo. I just don't sit and talk about it. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe my age, Generation X, should be talking to these millennials and Generation Z and don't follow this same. Because I told you all the other day, I got a little granddaughter right now that's pregnant. She's not going to have to, as long as I'm alive, she's not going to have to struggle with her baby the same way that I had to struggle with my kids, because I just didn't have the help. My grandmother did the best she could, but she had about 20 grandkids of her own, and everybody took care of their kids. But, when you never know what parents needed help for. So, but I just didn't have that help. My mom, she didn't do it. She felt like I only had one child. Didn't nobody tell you to have all of these kids. So I owe you nothing. And she didn't. I'm not mad at her about it. It is what it is. She raised me. She did her thing. She owed me nothing. So that was all my decision. So I put that on nobody but me. but me. I never even blamed the fathers for, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and I didn't. Because I have to look at me and I can only control me. But I just say that to say this, don't be so hard on people when they're trying to tell you their story. And if somebody tells you something, they're asking you for help, and you feel, I don't want to do it, I don't like you, I'm not going to do this. You don't have to say anything ugly or nasty because she already going through. Because one thing you did not see in this story, where in the heck was the fathers? Where were the daddy? It might be one dad, I don't know. Because I haven't gotten that far back in her stuff yet. It might be one daddy, it might be several daddies, but however it is, she's doing it by herself. By herself. Just be respectful. Just be respectful. All right, y'all. This has been TD, honey. I just wanted to, that was just on my heart. That was on my heart, y'all. That was on my heart. So I had to talk about that. That really had me triggered when I watched it yesterday. I was so triggered. But this has been TD. If you enjoy my videos, please give it a thumb up. Leave a comment. Please tell other people about it. I want to grow my little channel. And thank y'all for watching, because you know what? Y'all don't have to give me none of y'all time, and you did. Thank you. Bye.